Hello everyone, welcome to Boxing Science. In this episode, we're going to be covering a very important subject for female athletes, and that is training around the menstrual cycle. This is a question that we get a lot now. We start working with more female athletes, and obviously professional and amateur female boxing is becoming more and more popular. It's something that, as practitioners, is something that we actually have to plan our training and nutrition around. In this very, very short presentation, because we haven't created a very robust system. We haven't done too much research in this area so far, but it's just a quick guide on what our approach is with our female athletes. So, to train around the cycle, there's growing research on the menstrual cycle and the effects on physical performance. Between 50 and 75% of women report negative performance effects during the period. And then training systems are now being created along many different female sports, especially in women's football, to help optimise training responses, and also managing recovery for when they're towards the end of their menstrual cycle. And like I said, we're learning, we're doing more research, we're collecting more data to hopefully create a better system for female athletes in boxing and combat sports. So just to give you an overview, and this is for all athletes, including male athletes, this is how we load our training. And this is reason why we're mentioning this will become more apparent in a few slides' time. But we try and push our body and help it recover over a 3-to-1 loading pattern. So we're looking for gradual increases over 3 weeks, and then looking for a deload. So we're looking for 10 to 20% increases in training load steadily, and then having a deload week. This is what we don't want, is large spikes in training load, because this will increase the likelihood of injury, overreaching, and possibly illness as well. So this is something that we don't want to do, is going from a low week to heavy week back to a low week. So we plan and structure our training so we're increasing very steadily, we're pushing the body, and then we're deloading to help it recover and create some positive adaptations. So now we're going to start talking about the different hormones that females go through during a menstrual cycle. And these hormones have an effect on a female's trainability. So the main ones that we're going to focus on are these ones for anabolic effects on training. So this helps increase physical performance. That's estrogen, the luteinizing hormone. And then we've got this progesterone, which has a catabolic effect on training. Now this is how it changes during the menstrual cycle. We've got two main phases that we look at. It's the follicular phase and the luteal phase. During follicular phase, the hormones are low, but then the trainability is high. So this increases pain tolerance, so we can push our female athletes a lot harder. It's increased insulin sensitivity. This is great for basically having carbohydrates in your diet, and also we improve endurance. As you can see, this midpoint, so 14 days in, so 2 weeks in to the menstrual cycle, you see a spike in estrogen and the luteinizing hormone. And this is ovulation, so it's around about 3 to 4 days where these hormones peak. And this is a great window of trainability for female athletes, because these hormones are high, so you're going to get all these increased trainability, increased pain tolerance, increased insulin sensitivity. So when we're trying to plan our loading weeks and our hard sessions, that's around this ovulation period. And then we go into luteal phase, so this is post ovulation, and this hormone progesterone is at its highest. We have reduced glucose uptake, so this affects the amount of glucose that is available to the muscles. So this will negatively affect performance. A lot of females, and this is quite individualized, may become bloated, but will increase water retention, and this will affect their body mass as well. So this is something that a nutritionist has to look at, not see like let's say an increase or a sticking point in their weight and think that they have to decrease the calories or carbs or anything like that. It's very important for nutritionists to know what phase they're at in terms of the menstrual cycle. And also they're going to be prone to muscular soreness. So we want to reduce that training load and that eccentric stress on the muscles, so the female athletes aren't becoming sore during this phase. So we were talking about managing training loads earlier and why it's really important and how we need to maybe adapt it around the female athlete. If we don't manage if we're not knowing where a female athlete is in terms of the menstrual cycle, we don't know what time to really push them, and also we don't know what time to hold them back. Might end up being getting poor performance in the training, which may reduce their confidence. This is really important because if we're looking to hit their best numbers, the personal bests, towards the back end of a menstrual cycle, and they're not hitting them personal bests, and we're not recognising that, then this might be a bit of dent in their confidence, and especially towards the back end of training camp, you want to be increasing that confidence towards fight night. And also what we don't want to do is have this high spike in training load where the hormones shift and your window of trainability is low. So what we don't want to see is the spike in training load to coincide with this increase in progesterone. Sorry about that, because this will have a negative effect. So like I said, the big increases in training load can affect illness, can affect soreness, overreaching, and mix that in. If you don't get that right during a menstrual cycle, can have increased negative effects on female athletes. So this is what we want to do. We want to have our heavier weeks during the first phase of the menstrual cycle, peaking around about that ovulation period, and then start to deload towards the back end of the training cycle. And this is what we're going to do from a boxing, strength and running perspective. During the first 2 weeks, we want to increase the sparring rounds over a 2-week period. Look to get your hard spars in then. We want to increase volume and try and hit higher weight loads on the strength. And also want to aim to hit higher speeds and intensities during this 2-week period. Following that, when we're going to luteal phase, towards the back end of the menstrual cycle, we can't just go, right, drop the training load straight away, because we're often wanting to keep progressing in training. So we've got to steadily bring down that training load. So we start to reduce the boxing loads but maintain the sparring rounds, maybe increase recovery methods, the use of recovery methods around these training sessions. Strength training, slight reduce in volume and intensity. And then with the running, we try and maintain intensity, so we're getting that adaptation, but maybe looking at a lower rep and set range. And then on week 2, so this is the back end where we really need to start deloading a female athlete, is to reduce the sparring rounds and intensity for 1 week. Make sure really focus on managing your recovery, so maybe doing contrast showers or hot baths after, maybe going for more sports massage that week, so making sure that you're trying to reduce that perceived of muscle soreness, and also like looking at like recovery methods in terms of your nutrition as well, making sure your recovery is on point around sparring. Like I said, we don't want to be totally deloading our training load because we're in a fight camp, but we want to make sure that we're managing recovery around it. Something that we can start really reducing is strength training, reducing the intensity and aim for more dynamic effort. So working more strength, speed, strength adaptations. As you can see, Terry's doing some loaded jumps there. And then try and reduce the running intensity and total running load. So we've got a great tool here by using the altitude tent. So reducing them running speeds and then loading through the joints. So we're reducing the likelihood of like any muscle soreness or any tiredness going into these key sessions for boxing. So the main things that we need to monitor are training loads, boxing training loads, duration times RPE, but also like the conditioning loads and the strength training. Daily wellness, to see how that correlates with training load and the menstrual cycle. And also like getting a bit of feedback as well, like any symptoms of towards the back end of the menstrual cycle and obviously at the start of it. Water retention, so we've got our Sozo impedance machine. This will give us a good understanding of how body mass fluctuates and how water is retained during menstrual cycle. And also, it's a good idea for female athletes to monitor when they're ovulating halfway through the cycle, so they can know exactly when is the time that they're ovulating, so they can peak their training loads, really push hard and try and get them physical adaptations. So that's the end of this short presentation. The main thing is to just have them open conversations, know that the menstrual cycle is individualized. Some female athletes might have increased symptoms more than others, might affect their training more than others, and some might be able to just train through and not see any problems. So the main thing is to have that communication, to be comfortable in talking about it, so then you can get the most out of your female athletes. If you've got any questions about this presentation, or if you're wanting your training to be structured around the menstrual cycle, just drop a comment in the comment box below, or you can email me at dannywilson@boxingscience.co.uk and try and help you as best as possible. Thanks guys, hopefully see you on the next video.